Now at 10 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, an update to a crash involving a pedestrian and a vehicle last night on North Navarro.
Fallout continues after a report on the Uvalde shooting that cleared local police from any wrongdoing.
And the Salvation Army of Victoria is now open for business, the first life enrichment center of its kind in the Crossroads.
We're looking at some warm and windy weather for the next couple of days, but don't don't think that it's completely summer or fall. There is a little bit of winter weather coming in for this weekend, and I'll have all that coming up in just a few minutes.
And the Houston Texans just got a lot better, and Victoria Weston Corpus today. I'll have that in sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 10. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Don Brubaker.
And I'm Karina Garcia. A viewer sent a video of a dog attempting to bite a man near the Queen City neighborhood.
25 News Now reporter Adarius McCormick has more. Adarius?
Just a few weeks ago, a jogger and a VPD officer were attacked in this same area. This video from a viewer comes from Virginia Street this afternoon. It appears the dog is attempting to bite the man. Community members say it's the same dog they had issues with recently. Animal Care Services says it is having issues with too many people not leashing their dogs and too many people allowed their pets to roam freely. ACS is reminding dog owners to be responsible. Don, Karina, back to you.
Adarius, thank you. Last night around 9:10, Victoria police officers responded to a crash on North Navarro Street. They say a 65-year-old man on a bicycle traveling southbound was hit from behind by a truck. At last report, that man is in critical condition. No citations were issued. In El Campo, a man was convicted of capital murder. Brandon James was found guilty of shooting and killing Shane Singleton during a 2021 robbery in El Campo. After a week-long trial, the jury deliberated for about an hour before convicting James. He is sentenced to life in state prison, but because James is 19 years old, he will be eligible for parole in 40 years.
A suspect wanted in Goliad was arrested in Refugio this afternoon. Luis Duani of Louisville, Kentucky is accused of pulling a knife and trying to cut multiple co-workers at a Goliad solar plant worksite. Duani fled to Refugio, where he was arrested on 3 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and 1 count of attempted murder. He is in the Goliad County Jail with no bond set. The former mayor of Uvalde expressed outrage after a city-funded investigation looking into the police response of the 2022 Robb Elementary School mass shooting. The report recommended the police department should be exonerated for not acting immediately to stop a school shooter. 19 children and 2 teachers died in this massacre at Robb Elementary. The finding contradicts investigations by the DOJ and Texas House of Representatives, which found multiple police failures left the gunman unchallenged in a classroom for 77 minutes.
Well, it ripped the wound wide open again. Instead of a tear, it's torn, it's gushed wide open now. I mean, you know, we're right back that we've got to reestablish trust again. We've got to reestablish a deal there, and I mean, I believe this council will. But I think there's a question of mistrust still with this report. I don't think the word exonerate should have been used at all in this report. This investigation was supposed to be on what our policy was and if they violated policy and what their actions were that day. And what we saw, I didn't really clear that up.
The Uvalde City Council met tonight to further address the report. Now, the Uvalde police chief, who was on vacation during the Robb Elementary School shooting, resigned today. Daniel Rodriguez's resignation comes days after that review of the shooting response cleared all local officers of any wrongdoing. He tells a local paper the decision comes in the best interest of his family. 19 children and 2 teachers died in that massacre, which is now described as a failure of leadership, resulting in children being trapped with a gunman for more than an hour.
And let's take a first look at your forecast with First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Mac Pettis. Mac, are we going to have an issue with fog tonight?
It'll be on the patchy side. Some areas that have a little gusty wind it'll blow away, but in the low valleys we have enough moisture to get that. So we'll talk more about that in a minute. Now for us, we had a pretty nice day with the strong south winds bringing in all that cloud cover. But out here we've got a storm that's going to kind of reshuffle the entire deck here. It may look like winter by the time we get to this weekend. We'll have all that coming up in just a few minutes. Stay tuned.
Mac, thank you. After nearly 4 years of building and planning, the new Salvation Army Life Enrichment Center is open in Victoria, ready to help those in need. The Life Enrichment Center includes a medical clinic staffed with Texas A&M residency students, a library, showers, and even washer and drying stations. Captain Kenny Jones with the Victoria Salvation Army says the Life Enrichment Center will help people make a step towards a better life.
It's just amazing how many volunteers and people stepped up to help us, and I'm overwhelmed. You know, I'm ready for this program to change the community.
Now that the Life Enrichment Center is complete, renovations will begin on the rest of their location, which will include a renovated men's shelter and a brand new and much needed women's shelter. District 2 Victoria ISD board member Bridget Marshall has one opponent in the race for May 4th. His name is Andrew Rokovich.
Leading us to tonight's viewer poll. The question is, who are you supporting in the VISD board member District 2 race? Your options are Bridget Marshall, Andrew Rokovich, or Not My District. According to our results tonight, it looks like Not My District takes the lead with 61% of the vote, followed by Bridget Marshall with 27%, and then Andrew Rokovich at 12%. Thank you for voting tonight.
Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell so you can see Crossroads Today on YouTube. The latest in the surge of violence in Haiti. Coming up on 25 News now at 10, the nation's prime minister's announcement in the wake of that violence.
Also ahead, a whistleblower for Boeing who raised concerns about the company's production standards found dead.
Sergeant First Class and Senior Instructor and Senior Coach for the United States Army Marksmanship Unit Rifle Team, Army veteran Rand Benson is your military hero for February 2024. He was born on an Air Force base in the Philippines because his father was in the Air Force, Rand going on to join the services himself, going on to join the United States Army. In his childhood, he moved around quite a bit.
Alaska, Minnesota, Wisconsin, a lot of northern areas, but my dad retired and we moved to Georgia, so that was a big shock going from Alaska to Georgia in the middle of June.
In part joining the service to honor his late father.
My father passed away before I graduated high school, so I kind of to honor him, I just ended up joining the Army myself and made a career out of it.
It was always something he wanted to do, with uncles in the service and Rand being the only one out of his brothers to join. Once he joined the Army, he went infantry and airborne at Fort Benning, Georgia, doing a variety of jobs.
Well, see, that's what's interesting about the Army. People think that when you go in and you enlist, that's what you're going to do forever. Not at all. You're constantly changing jobs.
Rand would find that he was an exceptional marksman, so good that he would win prestigious awards and break numerous records. A formative experience for him and his time in the Army.
I don't know. I guess I had a knack for it because when I was shooting one day, I shot a perfect score on what was called a FORSCOM scaled target at the time, and it just so happened the battalion commander was walking behind me, and he said, "Let me see that target." And he said, "Sergeant, I want you to form a team and win the 82nd Airborne Division matches this year." I said, "Yes, sir."
After forming the team, they would go on to beat the 101st Airborne Division team, among other numerous wins and accolades. He was later transferred to Korea to work as a sniper on the DMZ before spending 12 years on the Army Marksmanship Unit at Fort Benning, Georgia. He earned the Distinguished Rifleman's Badge and the President's 100. Not many have gotten those high-level marksmanship awards.
Long-range rifle shooting is my specialty, and also teaching it. I was actually teaching instructors how to teach shooting. I wasn't just teaching students. I actually developed all the training programs we still use to this day for the squad designated marksman, for the marksmanship improvement course, for the leaders, train the trainers course. I developed all that material when I was there.
From Navy SEALs to Army Rangers and even American sniper Chris Kyle, Rand was the one who taught them.
I had Chris Kyle in one of my courses out on Naval Special Warfare Group 1 on West Coast. We used to go out to Coalinga, California, as a civilian range, and just the Navy SEALs, and we'd go out there. I taught a couple courses out there, and they called me old man. That's why when I watched that movie, I said, "Wait a minute, they're talking about Chris Kyle was," you know. But I mean, I'm not saying I'm taking credit for everything he did, but I taught him the prone unsupported position with sling, because some of those guys just couldn't figure out how to get in a sling supported position.
Teaching his students to practice correctly.
You know, practice doesn't make perfect. My axiom is perfect practice makes perfect. So if you practice mistakes, that's what you got. So, you know, I taught them, you know, how to practice for results, you know, practice more perfectly, if you will. And you hear this nonsense about humidity and barometric pressure and all this. I mean, I'm like, really? If you hold it hard and you got the wind, you got most of it licked. You got most of your problem there.
Rand also recalled shooting a bolt-action .50 caliber rifle.
You know, but it had a really nice muzzle brake and a really nice recoil dampening system in the buttstock. So it was one of the, for a bolt-action .50 cal, it wasn't too brutal.
After serving for 20 years and 5 months, Rand retired from the military and did some consulting work and worked in Alaska. He eventually felt a calling from God, so he went into ministry and became a chaplain, and now works in hospice here in Victoria.
And, you know, someone says, well, yeah, but now you're in hospice. I said, well, yeah, but you learn more about life when you're at the end of it than you did in all the years before it. Trust me, when your priorities change, when things change, all those things that seem important, not so important anymore. You know, those things that you neglected, those things are very important now. And so my job is to be there to help them sort through it, you know, help them to just overcome any guilt or you know, put it all behind, reconcile, you know, forgive, all those things. That's what I'm there for. And it's important. If you're going to leave this earth, we all are, right? To make peace before you do. It's very important.
Rand's motto, to make peace with God.
I believe this, that if we make peace with God, God makes peace with us. And that's a good place to be when you leave this earth. I think that's the best thing you can hope for.
So thank you, Rand, for your service to your country, and thank you to all veterans out there. I also wanted to take a moment to thank my dad, Rock Seibel. He's an Air Force veteran. I always remember he told me just a few days after graduating high school, he was on the bus to boot camp. He may not be a Victoria native, but he still served and has had a great impact on my life and the lives of others. So I just wanted to take this chance to thank you for your service, Dad, and to your country. So thank you. Adam Seibel, KAVU TV 25 News Now.
Haiti's Prime Minister Ariel Henry announced he would resign once a transitional presidential council is created. Caribbean leaders congratulated themselves late Monday for setting Haiti on a new political path. Henry says he will remain in the role until an interim government is established.
My government will leave immediately after the inauguration of the council. We will be a caretaker government until they name a prime minister and a new cabinet. Haiti needs peace. Haiti needs stability.
Despite this, the gangs that control 80% of the nation's capital demand a say in the future of the country. Today, experts warn that nothing would change unless the gangs became part of the conversation, seeing as they have deep ties to Haiti's political and economic elite. Boeing is facing more scrutiny after reportedly failing multiple safety audits.
There's word that a Boeing whistleblower was found dead of an apparent suicide.
New concerns about quality control at Boeing. The New York Times reports the company has failed 33 of the 89 audits the FAA conducted after a door panel blew off in mid-flight on this Alaska Airlines plane in January. Investigators later found 4 bolts were missing.
Following the incident, the FAA took immediate action to increase its oversight activities, and we will continue to put safety first.
The FAA also conducted 13 audits of Boeing supplier Spirit AeroSystems. 7 reportedly resulted in a failing grade. The Times say documents show the FAA observed mechanics at Spirit using a hotel key card to check a door seal, and Spirit mechanics applied Dawn soap to a door seal as lubricant. Boeing responding overnight, saying, "We continue to implement immediate changes and develop a comprehensive action plan to strengthen safety and quality with transparency at every turn." Spirit says they'll address the issue and continue efforts to improve safety with the goal of 0 defects. And safety officials around the world are looking into the terrifying incident yesterday where 50 passengers were injured on a Boeing 787 Dreamliner over Australia. The airline saying the plane experienced a strong shake and blames a technical event for the dramatic loss of altitude. Meanwhile, a Boeing whistleblower was found dead Friday after an apparent suicide. The body of 62-year-old John Barnett, a longtime Boeing employee and quality manager, was found in Charleston, South Carolina, where he was being questioned in a case against Boeing. Barnett raised concerns about production standards, telling the BBC in 2019 that workers deliberately used faulty parts. Boeing denied his claims. The issues with Boeing are having a ripple effect. Southwest Airlines is following United with a hiring freeze. Boeing has been unable to deliver planes on time, forcing it to trim its 2024 schedule. Derek Dennis, ABC News, New York.
If you or someone you know is struggling with a crisis and needs help, the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is 988. They provide free and confidential help 24/7 for people in distress. Senators from both parties responded to questions today about a House bill that could potentially ban TikTok. House Republicans are working to pass the bill that would force the platform's owners to sell or possibly be banned in the United States. Both Republicans and Democrats have expressed concern about ByteDance, the Chinese owner of TikTok, because of the company's relationship with Beijing.
A lot of us attended a classified briefing today on TikTok from a national security perspective. My opinion going into the briefing was to not support a ban, but I wanted to hear the information. My opinion leaving that briefing has not changed at all. There's nothing in that briefing that changed my mind that this is an immediate national security threat and that we're going to remove this platform for 170 million Americans.
The bill could be voted on in the House as soon as Wednesday.
Well, good evening, everybody. Our temperature is running around 70 degrees today. We managed to get up to 78, even with all the cloud cover. Yes, so it's high pressure that's making it warm. It'll be warmer for the next couple of days, but don't think that spring is completely sprung, because we got some kind of winter weather coming in this weekend with rain, wind, and cooler temperatures. All that coming up in a moment. Well, good evening, everybody. A lot of cloud cover over the area today and still the warm temperatures. Kind of the same pattern for the next day or so as our stable atmosphere is very stable. In other words, everything's sort of squeezing it down, not allowing any of this to grow up into kind of some sort of stormy weather. Well, the stormy weather is out here. In fact, that is going to be changing pretty much all of the Central Plains and our Texas weather in the next 4 or 5 days. So I'm giving you a little bit of a heads up here. Yes, it's going to be warm, 82 Thursday, 82 Friday, and then all of a sudden Saturday 76 and even cooler on Sunday. And in fact, in Tuesday, Wednesday, it's going to be in the mid 60s. So all of a sudden things are going to be changing. Overnight, we're going to get a little bit of fog, but I say a little bit because it's going to be patchy. In the areas that are exposed to the wind, we won't have the fog problems, but in the lower valleys, you know, as we go up and down, those places may develop some fog by morning. So if you're driving to one of those, just watch your speed and take it easy. It'll burn off pretty quick, and tomorrow we're looking for another kind of cloudy, windy day, but we're getting warmer. We're looking at an 80 for tomorrow, pretty much around the region, but 86 down in Corpus. 98 in Laredo. I really don't know what's going on. I don't know what happened to their thermometer. It must be broken or something, but it's just going to be really hot down there. Pretty much all of the entire state is under the breeze of the southeast wind, and that's bringing up the moisture and bringing up the warm weather as well. Now, here's Future Tracker. I put it out for about 5 days, and I said, okay, Future Tracker, how much rain are we going to get in the next 5 days? So as you can see, we got all the way to Sunday. And if you look for Victoria, you can see how right about here we have the possibility of 1/2 to 1 inch of rain, maybe 2 to the north. Okay, that's, you know, for the weekend. So the question is, when does it get here? And it looks like it'll be late Friday night and on to the Saturday morning. And this is what's going to cause it. Now, watch this. As we are in the southern side of it, we're getting the warm air. When it breaks into the plains, it's going to be a big snowstorm for the Rockies, a big snowstorm. Denver's going to get a foot. The passes are going to get about 3 or 4 feet of snow out of this system. Then the frontal system starts to produce a few big thunderstorms up in North Texas. This will be Thursday night. But by Friday, it does pass through or get very close to us. And Saturday morning, it passes through our area. And you can see how we have that chance of rain caused by that front right on through. You'd think we'd clear up and everything would go away, but then all of a sudden we've got a very fast-moving cool front behind it that'll come in on Monday, and that's going to give us another shot at some cooler air. So all of a sudden, our temperatures are changing. Big news in the news I cover, 100% wind, solar, and water. California, for the first time in history, went 4 days when all of their energy was provided by wind, water, and solar. Very interesting. We're looking at 78 for tomorrow in the cloudy skies over Port Lavaca, Cuero getting up to about 81. 7-day forecast will show you the first front comes in early on Saturday morning. Best shot at rain. I know it's the weekend. Still cloudy and damp on Sunday, and then cooler weather in on Monday. So we go from the low 80s down to the mid 60s in about 5 days. That's your 7-day forecast. Reminding everybody we do have a QR code. Please scan that. Put Crossroads Today on your phone. Here's Zach Brown with sports.
The always unpredictable NFL offseason got even crazier, and of course we got some baseball and softball in the area. I'll have that coming up in sports. The Texans went from maybe losing day one of free agency to making one of the biggest moves in the early going of this offseason. Joe Mixon traded to Houston for what is reportedly a 7th-round draft pick. The Bengals were originally going to release him. Houston, maybe wanting to avoid bidding in free agency, got a little aggressive. This, of course, after missing out on Saquon Barkley, amongst others. Mixon attended the University of Oklahoma. He has a checkered past, which the Texans are known for passing on, but not this time around. And if making a huge splash from Mixon wasn't enough, this one may have been even bigger. Danielle Hunter, superstar D lineman from the Vikings. He actually went to high school in Houston, Morton Ranch in Katy, Texas. He is 29 years old, made the Pro Bowl in 2018, 19, 22, and 23. The deal is 2 years, $49 million. Another running back on the move, Texans killer Derrick Henry going to a contender. Baltimore is going to get him for 2 years worth $16 million, $9 million of that fully guaranteed. So he is out of the AFC South, but the path to a Super Bowl could get tougher for Houston if things go as planned in Baltimore. Another Bengal that the Texans could have some interest in, T. Higgins, who was franchise tagged, but that wasn't good enough for him. He wanted a long-term deal. There has reportedly been no progress. He has requested a trade from Cincy. Houston could use another receiver. They have the draft capital and have been listed as a team that could swing for a deal, something just to pay attention to as the days and weeks go on. And speaking of swinging and the Texans, Victoria West softball taking on the Ray Texans, trying to get a midweek victory and stay hot in Corpus. The girls winners of 4 of their last 5 games, and they got started off with an RBI single off the bat of Lily Chavez to give Victoria West the early lead. The first 4 Warriors reached base in this one. They also got a great pitching performance from sophomore Zaylee Flores. The West ladies grabbed the 13-3 victory, and they have won 4 in a row, now 1-0 in district play, heating up at just the right time. And we also had 2 of the best going at it in Class 2A over in Ganado. The Maidens taking on Weimer, and Ganado holds off the Wildcats, getting the win. Final score 6-4. And the Sandies, they didn't sweat a whole lot in this one, beating Orange Grove 9-0 over in Calhoun. The Sandies also a team that have been heating up lately as we enter district play. We also had some softball here in the Crossroads as well. Hallettsville making the short trip over to Yoakum. The Bulldogs hanging in there against a very good Brahma team, tied at 2 through 3 innings. Nice play over at short by Trey Cuellar to grab the out. The inning ends without a run. In the bottom half, a man on. Hallettsville flashing some leather as well. Force out at second. Well done, but a walking wild pitch puts 2 in scoring position with only 1 down. Fly ball in the right off the bat of Jamar Hopkins, but it's short. Cuellar going to tag anyways, gets dirty to scratch across the run. It's 3-2 Bulldogs. That would actually be the final score. Yoakum maybe surprising Hallettsville a bit, snapping their 3-game skid in the win. All right, that is it for your sports. Donna and Karina, back to you.
This is breaking news from 25 News Now.
And breaking news tonight, Victoria police report shots fired in Victoria tonight near Colorado and Lawrence Streets. There is a chase going on right now. We have a reporter on the scene. More coming on our website, crossroadstoday.com.
All right, and stay with us. Coming up on 25 News Now at 10, we're going to take a last look at your weather, because tomorrow we pay tribute to our furry animals in the service.
The opening of the Riverside Park Duck Pond ribbon cutting ceremony comes Thursday morning. It starts at 10 o'clock. The free event will feature guest speakers, including State Representative District 30 Jeannie Morrison. She will speak on behalf of the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, which helped to fund the improvements. The event is open to the public. Dollywood kicked off its 39th season opening today, including a parade with the Queen, Dolly Parton herself. The flowers from the theme park celebration was donated to a charity called Random Acts of Flowers. The Knoxville-based organization specializes in repurposing old flower bouquets before donating to others. Random Acts of Flowers has additional affiliate operations located in Indianapolis, Tampa, and Asheville, North Carolina. And it sounds like the weather later on this week will be nice for roses and flowers, lots of rain.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. We've got some warm, windy weather for about 3 more days, but Friday night we start picking up a little bit of rain, and it looks like a damp and cool weekend as the frontal systems, 2 of them, roll in back to back. So look at how we go from 82 down to 70 and then down to 65 for the early part of next week. So I'm saying keep the flip-flops handy, but it may be a little on the chilly side this coming weekend as the rain rolls in. Looks like Saturday is a little on the damp side.
Alrighty, thank you, Mac. And Wednesday, tomorrow, is the day to pay tribute to a man's best friend in uniform. That's because it is National Canine Veterans Day. The day started in the U.S. during World War II. These loyal and protective animals have been used in battles for centuries. And today, they participate in search and rescue missions, on security teams, and at airports sniffing for drugs. Did you actually know you can adopt one of those once they're out of the service?
Yeah. I want the disobedient one. They're so cute.
The ones that don't make it?
The ones that failed the doggy test that they put. I want one of those.
They're
I don't want one of the highly trained ones, man.
The Worden County Sheriff's Office Canine Kai retired after 7 years with the force. He did a fantastic job of sniffing out drugs. He's 9 years old. He can relax now.
He's got a lot of life ahead of him, only 9.
He sure does. Oh, absolutely. I believe so.
There you go. Well, thank you for joining us for 25 News Now at 10.
Join Carolina Osterine, meteorologist Parker Cox for 25 News Now Sunrise starting at 5 a.m. Good night, everybody.